Hello and welcome to Road to the Bowl news on the NFL playoffs. Okay, hi. We're gonna be going over the wild card round and the divisional. My name is Sam Pyack, and I'm here with
Colton Harden.
And we're gonna be going over some upsets, maybe some things that we thought might have gone differently if this happened and if that happened. And we're gonna do a good mix of both things. We're gonna start off with the wild card though. And upsets in the wild card. Packers versus Cowboys was a huge one. Obviously, they blew them up out of the water. Any notices that you've seen from that game, Colton?
Yeah, so what happened there was Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys choking again in the wild card round, going against the Green Bay Packers, the youngest NFL team. Nobody expected this very young team to make it as far as they did, but
and
what happened?
Make it, but look good.
Yeah, they did good while making it very far. So what happened this game was Jordan Love, pretty much a perfect passing rating. He went off. Darnell Savage having a pick six, Jair having a diving interception. Speaking of Jair Alexander and Christian Watson, one of the best receivers
on the team,
was injured with a foot. He kept playing, same with Jair, hurt his foot. But one guy that came up big in that game was Romeo Doubs.
Romeo Doubs stepped up when they needed it most. And for Packers fans, I think that's a good sign because when your two best wide receivers, Christian Watson and Jaden Reed, aren't as active and Romeo Doubs shows up, that means you got multiple weapons to pass the ball to. And now going into a next one that many people thought the Eagles would win, and I didn't personally think Eagles were kind of a bust of the year for me, but I'd say Bucs just came in there and dominated. Baker had 337 through the air, was just laying in dimes to Mike Evans, who dropped a few, but obviously he came back in Mike Evans fashion, and they just pulled that game away. What do you think? Any ideas on that, Colton?
Yeah, so what happened there was the Eagles, sadly, their star center, leaving the team, retiring. At the end of the game, got very emotional. At the end of the game, he was telling all of his teammates that this was it, and it happened. He retired, and so yeah, what happened was for the Eagles, the Bucs stopped 92%, their best play. That's a play that nobody has stopped except for the Bucs that season.
Yeah, they stopped the tush push.
And that is the tush push. QB sneak. The Bucs had amazing defense right there. They played good defense, and one guy that came up big for the Eagles was Devontae Smith.
Yep, that one guy, that one bright spot on that team, Devontae Smith, who just outperformed everyone in his path. I mean, without the teammate, obviously a Pro Bowler, AJ Brown being out, he really stood up in his own ways. Now we're moving on to predictions. I'm going to go over my predictions first, Colton. You can go second. First, I'm going to say my predictions of the wild card round. I had Packers losing, obviously. I had Lions winning against the Rams. And then I had, on the AFC side,
I had
Browns winning, which was wrong. And then I also had Bills winning, which was right. So that was pretty good. And my prediction, and we'll get into the predictions for the divisional.
All right, now for my predictions for the wild card was Cowboys win, but didn't happen. For NFC, I had the Rams winning, didn't happen. And then I had also for the NFC, I had who else play? Oh, I can't remember.
In the NFC?
Yeah,
it was just those two.
No, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, Bucs and Eagles. Yeah, I had Bucs winning.
I had Bucs winning that too. And then for Texans versus Browns, that might have been an upset. I think because everybody had the Browns winning, Joe Flacco, they did not expect this young quarterback, C.J. Stroud, to step up. Speaking of C.J. Stroud, bro, carried the Texans, made them 10-17. And plus their head coach, rookie quarterback, one of the fewest rookie coaches and rookie quarterbacks to make the playoffs and make it past the wild card round. C.J. Stroud did that, almost having the exact same stat line as Jordan Love. So yeah,
pretty cool.
And then Also, I think the Chiefs and Dolphins were a little bit upset. One of the coldest playoff games in KC at Arrowhead.
No one thought they'd win by that much. That's
Nobody
for sure.
thought. Some people had the Dolphins because they
wanted
thought that
revenge.
the super team would have got it. But one guy that did step up for the Browns was Joe Flacco. He tried this. He knew he was down, even though he threw those 2 pick sixes.
Yeah,
he knew
he had to
had
throw the ball,
throw the
unlike
ball.
Tua, who threw those checkdowns and screen passes with the game on the line.
Yeah, Tua did not play the smartest ball or the best ball, but one guy that did on the defense.
Okay, here's one guy who did. Keep on
One
going.
guy who did on the defense was Christian Harris for the Texans.
Yeah, and
8
we'll get-
tackles, 1 pick six, and a sack. Steven Nelson having the other pick six along with 4
Yep.
tackles. And then Desmond King having 12 tackles. And then AJ Klein, the Bills linebacker who got hurt and a little bit later to the game, but he still had 11 tackles.
And
And for the offensive side, Rashee Rice just put up a casual 130 and a touchdown,
Yeah.
carrying the team. Would have had 2, but the offensive tackle did not.
And we'll get into more defensive stuff later, but we'll talk about the offense and first and the young guys. You already mentioned Rashee Rice going off, had that 1 touchdown, would have had 2 if it wasn't for Jawan Taylor, the most penalized guy in pretty much NFL history now at this point. I want to talk about Puka Nacua. Broke the rookie receiving playoff game record with 181 yards.
Broke the receiving
DK.
broke the receiving yards record in a single season.
For the rookies. And now I think what he needs to do now is even get better over the offseason. He might have been eliminated, but it still doesn't matter. He's still going to be one of the better wide receivers next year. Speaking of another guy in that game, by the name Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun Guide, who, had casual 110, 10 receptions, I believe, or 9 in between there. And he just, had a great game. Throwing guys off, got the game-winning first down, just nice.
Speaking of Puka Nacua, before every game starts, he cries because for his dad that sadly passed away, he wants to do his best every single game in honor of his dad.
He definitely made his dad proud. Okay, now we're getting to the next subject, which I love the most. It's called the Versus Round. And there's only 2 guys that I really want to talk about on this list. One wanted his revenge, and the other had a homecoming game. We're talking about Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. Jared Goff went 277, and Stafford went 367 in the air. Those yards don't mean anything, because if the Lions passed more in the second half, I think they'd pretty much be identical, along with Amon-Ra having similar numbers to Puka. But I'm just going to say, Lions, you did amazing in the first half, laid off the gas a little bit in the second. Rams, they tried their best to get ahead, but they just couldn't against this defense.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay, and I just want to say, Jordan Love and Dak, it became a close game because Dak was stat padding. Dak had 400 yards and 400 yards, and I can't remember how many touchdowns he had, but Jordan Love just went off too, almost perfect passer rating. And those 2 were battling it all night, even though it was so far out of reach. It looked nice. Defense now, getting to the defensive players. Aiden Hutchinson on the Lions with 2 sacks, and Ernest Jones, that was a battle. 2 sacks for both the 2 menaces for the offenses on both sides. You got anything to add on to that on the AFC side of the ball?
Yeah, AFC side of the ball. Patrick Mahomes taking on the Dolphins. Tua, who played against earlier in London? Yeah, it was in London.
That was a good version.
Yeah, good game. They were up 21 at halftime, and then Dolphins almost came back. The Dolphins did lose 21-14, but they did show that they could beat them, but that did not happen in the wild card. Now moving on
to the defensive players. Defense was a huge game for every one of these. Texans have a huge game defensively. Texans, that's the reason why they won that game. 2 pick sixes, which was nice. But talking about the Packers defense really won that game for them too. A pick 6, Darnell Savage, Jair Alexander with a pick, and Quay Walker, 11 tackles. Keyshawn Nixon matching him with 11 tackles. Also being one of the better returners in the league. So that was pretty fun to see him and his talents. But
now we're going to move on to the divisional round. But
Divisional
before
round
we
stats
get
and
into
news.
that, I want to talk about Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb having amazing years. Dak and him getting great communication all year until the wild card. So many communication throws that Dak threw, and CeeDee just started the game with
started
going
off
one
shaky,
for like
you know?
7. Yeah, started off shaky. All right, now we move on to the division round for the AFC side. Close game from the Chiefs and Bills. Came down to the wire, 27-24, and one of the last play with like a minute left, Tyler Bass been
Shanked it.
amazing from 50 plus.
Like
40
shanked it,
plus.
just shanked it.
Just shanked it
Plain out shanked
wide right. Nothing, no blocking, nothing. He just shanked
And
it.
you want to talk about who I thought should have won a game? I think
The
Packers.
Green Bay Packers
Packers
dropped 2 pick
outperformed.
sixes.
Packers out. Yeah, 2 picks, maybe pick 6s, and that if they caught those Packers, I'd say they win the game. Maybe Brock Purdy steps up, but I don't think so. I think Packers win that
No.
game if they have those. Also, let's talk about
Lions and Bucks.
Lions and
Lions
Bucks.
and Bucks started out close at
But
the
the
first
only
half.
reason
But yeah, you can go.
the only reason is because the offense was kind of shaky for both teams in the first half until the second half came around, and that defense of the Detroit Lions started to step up, not only having 1 pick against Baker, but 2, and 1 was a game-sealing one. 1 was at the end of the first drive, which I thought was kind of funny and ironic how 1 was at the beginning, 1 was at the end. But Baker honestly had an amazing game, threw for over 300 yards, and if it wasn't for those 2 picks, I'd say Bucks might have a shot at winning that game. No doubt in my mind.
Would have definitely been closer at
Yep.
least. And now for the AFC, one last divisional game. Ravens, Texans. Lamar having 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Just went off. In the first half, it was close, 10-10.
Yep.
But, you know, the defense played good for the first half, fell apart the second half. The offense did not do good the entire game. Their only touchdown was off of a punt return from Steven Sims. Amazing return from him, trying to make it. And then the defense trying after tries of trying to stop them, which they did for a little bit of the game. But the offense could just not. They could not excel and could not take advantage of all of the stops the defense had in the first half.
Yeah, and I think that was a huge part. Ravens just started to pull away. Lamar used his legs a little bit more. Looked a lot more like the Lamar MVP that we need, that we used to know during the season. And it was pretty good, but enough about talking about present stats and past stats. Let's go to our future stats. Future predictions of the NFC and AFC championship rounds. And we're going to finish off with the Super Bowl at the end. The divisional winners of the game. NFC championship predictions. I think Lions might pull up an upset against the Niners and might actually have a chance.
I think the Lions might have a chance because if Purdy's throwing those throws like he did last game, the Lions will not drop it like the Packers did. They will take advantage of those bad throws.
Ryan Branch had 2 one-handed interceptions this year. One off a tip from Kadarius Toney, and one was spectacular. But I don't know if it was one-handed or not. I can't remember
And then
off the top of
for
my head. But
the other AFC game, the AFC,
on the AFC
game,
side,
I
I got the Ravens.
I got the Chiefs. I want the
Ravens
Chiefs.
are too good.
I think the Chiefs could win if they stop Lamar.
If they stop Lamar, it might be close, but I think the Chiefs are going to get stopped.
I think it will be Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl rematch.
I don't like that. I'm going to go Lions-Ravens. And here I'm going to go, let's just talk about some guys who stepped up in that game that we thought might be who might be impactful guys for them to come in the NFC Championship. My first guy that comes to my head is Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs went absolutely bonkers, had that big touchdown that the Lions need, and will be their X factor when it comes game time against the Niners. Another big thing that happened and players who stepped up was probably Lamar Jackson, who absolutely ran all over him in the second half, and just nice finishing to them in that game, putting the dagger in the Texans. Other guys that we thought might step up in the NFC Championship. Colton, you got anything to add on?
Yeah, I chose the Chiefs because I think Mahomes more clutch than Lamar.
Yeah,
Me
the
personally,
AFC
the AFC Championship. Lamar's never been there. I think he's gonna put a lot of pressure on him, make him to make bad throws for the defense to step up. And then for Lamar, I think he'll have a good game. But I think Mahomes in playoffs, too clutch, made it. They haven't made it to the AFC Championship since 2018. So that's
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm going to disagree with you. I think this is Lamar's year, and I think Lamar will prove to people that he can win playoff games, and he's definitely done that so far, winning one. It was pretty good fashion, too.
fun fact. I mean, this is a cool thing. I think, me personally, both sides are going to, the AFC side, the first seed for third seed, and the NFC side, first seed for third seed. I think that's going to be pretty interesting game, both of them. I don't think none of it's going to be a ball. Maybe the Ravens and Chiefs if Mahomes does not come to play.
Okay, now we're going to do the verses like we did with the wild card and who we think was back-to-back in that game. And I'm going to go with Jared Goff and the Bucs. I know I said Jared Goff for last week, but this was truly a back-to-back battle. Baker would throw a nice check down to Rachaad White. Rachaad White would run it in, and we'd go back. We'd throw the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs over the top, and Jahmyr Gibbs would run in. Or we'd find Amon-Ra St. Brown over the shoulder for a touchdown, and Baker would do the same with Mike Evans. It was just back and back all game. Lions fans were kind of nervous there, I know it. And just at the end, Derek Barnes with a huge touchdown, but we'll get into defense stuff later. Any other verses that you think was back to back and might have been controlling the game?
Chiefs and Bills just kept scoring and then kept scoring.
Mahomes
Went to Kelsey, got 2 touchdowns that game. Pacheco had one, I'm pretty sure.
Kelsey's first touchdown since week 11.
Been having a rough
year for him.
rough end of the year. And then once Kelsey scored that touchdown, Jason Kelsey jumped out.
Jason Kelsey taking off his shirt, jumped out.
Jumped out the chute, started screaming, started hanging out with the Bills fan, chugging beer, and Taylor Swift and Kylie Kelsey's reaction
Is hilarious.
It was amazing. Taylor Swift in such a shock. Fun fact, Jason Kelsey told Kylie Kelsey, his wife, that he was gonna do it. Once they got there, he said to Kylie Kelsey that he was gonna do it.
Okay,
I saw it on his podcast. So.
And now we have defense, and then our last subject is going to come up. So let's talk about some guys who might have showed up in a big way. I think Aiden Hutchinson having 8 sacks in his last 4 games, having one against the Bucs was huge for the
Averaging
Lions.
2 sacks per game.
Yeah, and then Melfonwu was sent on a blitz, who also got a sack for the Lions.
So did Branch.
Yep, Branch got in there with Benito Jones. They love that rookie, kind of the steal of the draft. On other teams, I don't really know. I think Bills defense absolutely stood up, holding the Browns to what they did. Holding the Chiefs to what they did, which was pretty nice because a lot of teams don't hold the Chiefs to 27 points. So, I don't know. I think it's opinion on what defense you think did better this week. And we're going into our last subject, Super Bowl predictions. Who do we think is going to win the whole thing this year?
I want the Chiefs to win. I think it would be fun seeing Chiefs versus Lions, the rematch from week 1.
Well, I think I have the Lions getting their first Super Bowl. The love, the soul, the grit in that team. Dan Campbell's going to do it. He was a player. He knows what it feels like to be in the playoffs. And he's just going to hopefully run through, because I know a lot of people want to see those lovable Lions win the whole thing.
Nobody wants to see, any team does not want to see their season end when they make playoffs. But that's how it is in playoffs.
That's what we think. And I don't know. We don't have much else to say, but this is your Road to the Bowl podcast. And signing out is Sam Fayok and Colton Harden.